Hello, this is Dave from JD Cycle Works. Today we have a bunch of real educated people here to talk about what's going on that affects your rights as a motorcycle rider and what you like to do with them. These are a lot of people from ABATE. ABATE is an organization which is here to help us out, and we're going to have Joe over here really explain a lot about it.
Thank you, Dave. And first of all, thank you so much for hosting this event. We're very happy to be here. ABATE is an acronym that stands for Alliance of Bikers Aimed Towards Education. We are an NGO. We are a bikers' rights organization, and we try and keep the motorcycle community updated on legislative issues, safety issues, etc., things that enhance or stop to prohibit the freedoms that we enjoy on the road. We raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for charity, from everything from child cancer to Back the Blue to animal distress and vets, etc. Dave invited us to come up here, and we try to put together a multi-tier panel for you folks. We have folks from the national level, the state level, and the local level, and I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves, and they'll tell you a little bit about themselves. Why don't we start with Ken?
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Dave, for having us up here today. Alliance of Bikers Aimed Toward Education. You already talked about some of the things we do with the charitable work. We're a 501c3 on the state level. We do a lot of local fundraising, and that's a lot of raffle tickets, and it's a lot of chicken barbecue to throw out. Well, one chapter is $160,000 this year in their Christmas for kids down to South Central PA. So, yeah, we do that. We protect bikers' rights. We do political and influence government actions. And that is things we don't like, things that we do want. We want to make that happen. We also, the education part, we want to touch on that as well. We want to support the Pennsylvania Motorcycle Safety Program, which is run by PennDOT. And we also have a program that we run called OSAL, or Operation Save a Life. I personally, a little bit light in the last semester, but the last few years I've been getting to see about 1,000 driver's ed students every semester and talk to them about motorcycle awareness for automobile drivers. And the more eyes we get looking twice to save a life, that's a selfish interest of ours. We do want to protect ourselves from those situations. I also think that a trained rider, somebody that goes through any one of the beginner, intermediate, or advanced classes that are available through PennDOT, they come out as a more skilled rider, much better chance of having a near miss instead of a collision out on the road. And that's our education part there. That's what we do. My role at the state level, I'm in Harrisburg, under the dome in the Capitol, twisting arms and making it known what it is we want to get done there with all the legislators and all the folks that are up there, trying to build goodwill, trying to build friendly relationships, and trying to protect us from things that don't necessarily suit us or serve us well as a motorcycle lifestyle. So we're going to pass it around to Andy.
Andy.
Go over to Andy.
My name's Andy Kelly. I'm the state rep for the MRF in Pennsylvania, and I'm also the reps rep on the board of the MRF. The MRF is a national rights organization for street riders. We represent all the street riders in the country. We have a full-time lobbyist in Washington, D.C. We have an office in D.C. We also work with all the state rights organizations. If they need help with any kind of legislation, we find out what people in other states have had the same problem. We give them all the information we can give them. We fight for all motorcyclists on the road. So, and I'm brought a lot of information up here to share, and be talking more about it in a little bit.
Thank you. But to Tom Keenan. Tom, let everybody know who you are, brother.
All right. Hi, I'm Tom Keenan, 43-year member of ABATE. I am currently the legislative coordinator for the Lehigh Valley chapter. I'm on the local end of the deal.
Tell them where we were Thursday.
Thursday, we went to see the representatives of Jared Coleman's office. He is the senator. He is now my senator after redistricting. So I got to, it really counted, and I said, hey, super voter, check on it. So and that means a lot, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. You got to get out there and vote. You go to them and you talk to them. First thing they want to know is whether you vote or not. It's free. It's the only thing in life you can do that's free. And guess what? It helps guarantee your freedom. So without clogging up too much time,
Mr. Seabolt here.
Thomas.
All right, thank you, Tom. My name is Tom Seaball. I'm a 44-year member of ABATE. I've been around since 1980. I've been through a lot with the chapter itself, and I tell you what, it's a great organization, a lot of great people, dedicated people for the motorcycle rights. You want to talk about street motorcycles, you want to talk ABATE. You want to talk about your safety, education, legislation, you talk ABATE. Alliance of Bikers Aimed Towards Education. I am the helping public relations for the Lehigh Valley chapter. I've been around enough. I've been the president and treasurer throughout the chapter, throughout my years through the chapter itself. With all that said, I'll tell you what, it's one of the premier organizations out there. You have to join it. It's I believe we have a full-time lobbyist down there in Harrisburg, protecting your rights and our rights as a motorcyclist. It's just very critical. I think we're going to be talking about that a little later. Okay, let's get this going.
You mentioned OSAL.
Yeah.
This is my OSAL team.
Yeah.
Tom and myself and Bev. We've done 4 classes so far.
Excellent.
So we enjoy it.
It's very satisfying. You see 15-year-old, very satisfying. You see 15-year-olds, and they come in the room and they maybe don't connect, and they've got to listen to driver's ed teacher for the entire semester. We come in, give them a break and a little bit of variety, take them out, let them sit on the motorcycles, see what we have to do to get down the road, describe some things to them. One of our prime sponsors, Richard Freeburn, put together a video, 17-minute presentation, keeps their attention. And again, I know that they leave that class in better shape as far as seeing motorcycles than their parents are out on the road. And it really makes a difference. We really connect with the students.
One of the classes, we had mentioned our toy run. And in one of our classes, we mentioned our toy run. I guess the class was in October. And we told them the toy run was the following month. They took it upon themselves to collect $200 worth of toys and donate it to our run, which I just thought was awesome because they're, by and large, they're not motorcycle riders. This was their first experience, but it told me anyway, we made enough of an impression that it was a positive one.
And also, by and large, the instructor of the class happened to mention that, gee, I can't believe all these guys show up for this. Normally, it's hit or miss. You guys attract them. So that's a cool thing. And we, we
had a lot of fun, a lot of great questions.
A lot of good questions.
The kids are very active. They wanted to know more about the motorcycles. They wanted to learn about them. At the end of the presentation, we went outside. We sat on the bikes. We explained everything about the motorcycle, why they're loud, why the lights are like a certain location, why. We went through the whole gamut. I tell you what, these kids had an amazing time, good times.
And we took a couple different styles of motorcycles. I showed up on an old 500 Honda. And I said, yeah, you look at this and you go, well, gee, that looks archaic. Yeah, but guess what? This is the grandfather of every sport bike, 4-cylinder Japanese bike you see going up and down the road. And they were like, oh, wow, really? Yep. You just peel off all those fairings and all that plastic and, yeah, this is it.
We were down at the Blue Comet's coffin run. This youngster came up and he said, hi, Bev, hi, Joe. Down in Monco. And I said, hi, how's it going, brother? And he walked away. I said, Bev, who was that? And she said it was one of the students we had at Wilson. And I walked out. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you. And he said, no, it's great. I just got my license and I'm riding here with my dad. So it was awesome to see that they at least remember who we were. I thought that, again, that was very positive.
That's pretty cool. Hey, Dave, you brought us all together for this.
Yes, I did.
And you had a couple things on your mind.
I sure do.
Tell me about it.
Well, one of the biggest concerns I have here is the right to repair. This is something that's in legislature that's going to possibly affect our future with motorcycles, classic cars, antique tractors, anything to do that's gasoline burning that we love to restore and enjoy. It's a huge passion of Americans. It's something we've had since the beginning of time. And I hope that we can keep it going. But if nobody knows about this possible legislation, it's going to happen and we're going to be out. So that's hopefully today I want to explain more about it with these guys and share it to you and maybe get some traction and help them keep what we love alive. So Ken Keir can help explain a lot more of it. And one second thing I want to talk about is the yearly inspection in our motorcycles is going to become yearly inspection. They're going to get rid of the monthly calendar we have to follow, which makes us all go crazy. And that's, for me as a shop owner, it's hard because a person walks in and says, hey, why can't I get a year inspection of my bike? Why is it 4 months? We have to explain that there's a calendar on the wall that we have to follow to try and keep them within the months of riding months, which is all well and good. However, it doesn't always work out that way. So I'm looking forward to that happening to help save a lot of negative conversations with customers so they can get a yearly inspection. But the biggest thing is the right to repair. Guys, we got to work on this. If we don't solve this, we're going to be out.
So let's touch briefly on right to repair at the state level. There's not a lot that I'm going to talk about today, but I do know that Senator Regan, who's stepping away from the Senate at the end of this term, he's got Senate Bill 744, allows for or states that the electronic information, the manufacturers can't hide it from you. They can't keep you from having access to what it takes to repair and keep the motorcycle running and tuned correctly. I know there's been some restrictions in the past, and obviously there's a cost that comes with it to buy the software or access that, but they cannot limit. And what the idea is that we want to keep the independent shops in business because the dealers can't handle everything, and they are not handling some of the older motorcycles that we still like to ride. I think anything that goes back, well, definitely anything that goes back to 2000, 2003 and earlier, they're no longer stocking parts for, and the mechanics are not servicing them. And, you know, that's a good deal of what's still out on the road, and it's what I want to keep on the road. In fact, I have all intention of having my grandson, my older grandson, ride my 82 Y Glide. That's his when the time comes. So I have that in mind. On the right to repair, probably more active, and it really is a federal issue. Andy might want to touch on House Resolution 906.
House Resolution 906 is going to make sure that you have the ability to repair your own equipment, whether it's a farm tractor. There's been instances where farm tractors have broken down and they can't get it repaired in time to harvest the crop. There's instances where even like with, and also parts like he was talking about, where there's a car manufacturer, there's something as simple as a front pump seal on a transmission, which maybe costs $25. They won't sell it to you at all, and they have the rights. Nobody can manufacture that, so you have to buy a complete transmission. That shouldn't be allowed, just stuff like that. And it goes all the way through electronics, toasters, whatever. You should be able to, if you purchase it, you should be able to fix it. Your cell phone, if you purchase it, you should be able to get it fixed. It covers everything. It's just not motorcycles, everything across the board that we have to be concerned about. So we have to get this House Bill 906 passed. Some states, I think New Hampshire or Vermont has something like that, but we have to get it nationwide. There's a lot of other issues that touch on this. I don't know if you want to get into the ban on internal combustion engines.
Absolutely. Yep.
Where California starts in 2035. No internal combustion engine can be sold in that state. That's part of the California Air Resource Board. And I hate to say it to you, but Pennsylvania is agreeing with that. Pennsylvania's going to do the same thing. It's not being publicized, but New Jersey, New York, a lot of states have agreed to go with this. I know just recently Virginia pulled out of it because it's getting a little wacky. But, you know, this is what we have to do at the state level to get our state out of stuff like that. There's a whole lot going on besides, you know, even with the fuels, the fuel transparency, you know, update the definition of a motorcycle. There's a lot we can talk about, but I'll pass the mic back to talk about the internal combustion engine.
There you go.
So Andy, on that House Resolution 906, so far it was pushed to a subcommittee in the Energy and Commerce Committee, and it's back before the Energy and Commerce Committee. You couldn't get any more nonpartisan than this bill. It has 56 co-sponsors, 28 Democrats, 28 Republicans, and from my standpoint, that's the perfect place. We're motorcycle people. We are not Republican. We're not Democrat. We are nonpartisan when it's time to talk about motorcycles. I don't talk about anything else when I'm in the Capitol. And, you know, we're focused strictly on motorcycles. That's our topic. When you're talking about doing away with the California Air Resource Board or the CARB regulations that Pennsylvania adopted, that we've adopted that in the Commonwealth. Well, we adopted it when it was way less than it is now. It's gotten really insane, and they're talking about eliminating all internal combustion engines. Mm-hmm. Right now, if you have a storm in California, you are not allowed to go to the store to buy a gasoline-powered generator. You can't have that. Air-cooled engines off the table. And I want to keep running my stuff, and I want to keep fuel for it. I want that. One of the things that concerns me, and I might sort of step on some toes here, but the voluntary compliance from some of the manufacturers that they just like automatically, I don't know if they're rolling over and playing dead, but the pressure that comes from the alphabet agencies onto manufacturers like Indian, like Harley-Davidson, like Honda, Yamaha, all of them have constant compliance, I'd say battles, but they can realize that the power of the agencies making the regulations is too much for them to withstand. They can't fight the legal fight. Fortunately, we had a Supreme Court decision that did away with the Chevron deference, and now they're allowed to take expert opinions besides what the EPA has to offer. So we can keep going in that direction, but this is a fight that cannot stop, and we need numbers. We've got 44 chapters in the state, just over 5,000 members. And it's growing. We're growing again because people are seeing other things besides our original topic. It's what 21 years now. We modified helmet choice in Pennsylvania, and we're seen as the helmet guys, but we're way more than that. Some people call us that, but that's not everything. Yeah. So, and again, we're going to thank you for your sponsorship with us here. Yes, Joe.
Do you guys want to talk about the E15 fuel and availability, because it seems to tie right in?
Fuel protection, transparency.
Yeah. Tell them why that's important.
The Consumer Protection and Fuel Transparency Act was out at the last session of Congress. It kind of got pushed aside. What it mostly wanted to do is educate the consumer. Most consumers do not realize what damage E10, E15, and higher up to E85 can do, especially to an air-cooled motor. And all the bill was asking is to put a sticker on every pump in the United States saying, do you realize when you use above E10, this is the damage it's going to cause? Do you realize this? I mean, whenever you buy any kind of air-cooled engine, your lawnmower, chainsaw, it says on the gas cap, do not go past E10 because it'll ruin the motor. The first thing they ever test for, and I don't know if the motorcycle dealers test for, is if the fuel. First thing to do is pull the fuel if you got an engine problem. If you got over E10 in it, they tell you you're out of luck. We have to educate the consumer. That's all we're doing is educating. I'm not changing laws, but educating the consumer what damage can be done with above E10.
Yep. And a lot of that damage, a lot of people don't understand, but the problem is the higher that number is of ethanol in the fuel is the more you need to burn the fuel. So what happens is without the proper mixture being added to it, you're going to have the engine running leaner, and that's where the damage comes from. Also has a higher corrosion rate, and it's a higher hydroscopic rate of absorbing moistures from the air, and that's what causes fuels to fail.
Yeah, that Dave, does that also do something to wash lubrication out of the top end with the alcohol?
It does if you don't have the right mixtures. I mean, if you have the right mixture, it's kind of okay, but the problem is the plastics, it just can't support these fuels. They do dissolve things and cause failures in that route.
Well, I've also seen some of the crust inside some of my carbureted
Yeah.
motorcycles too.
Oh, yeah.
So I get that. Again, those alphabet agencies are trying to force something. Ethanol and fuel, very very popular politically. It's considered a green and renewable resource instead of a fossil fuel. I want my energy to come from all of the above. I want to say I'm like agnostic when it comes time to get power and energy. I'm fascinated by electric motorcycles. I don't have one. I probably won't be seen on one for quite some time. But yeah, I'm fascinated. They've got their place. Just don't make me. Just don't make me.
We had the state treasurer from ABATE, Colorado, come out to do the rights rally last year, and he came to our ABATE meeting because his relatives live right down the street. He told me out in California, in Colorado, he's got to drive 30 miles in one direction just to find E10. That's how prevalent the E15 is. He says, I'm burning off like almost 2 gallons of gas just to fuel up.
Well, I think they have a big E15 refinery in Colorado. Yeah, and there's also, again, when you look at how the laws are made, and it's really hard to watch, but if you look at how the laws are made, it's incredible what happens with the ethanol and the fuel is popular with both sides of the aisle. When you go all through Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, that they're all on board, and if you look at who their senators are, they almost never agree on anything, but they want that fuel out there. In fact, if I recall, I think we're still able to sell E15 year round. Is that right?
Yes, now I am.
Also, in Pennsylvania, we've talked every year. In the federal capital, we have bikers inside the Beltway, which we lobby for one day. Last year, I guess there was about 300 bikers went to the
38 states.
38 states were there. Every House seat and every senator got a brochure from us. And from Pennsylvania, we have one person who's always been behind us on anything motorcycle, except when it comes to ethanol fuels, because he has an ethanol plant in his district and he's supporting his own. We have to get behind us, and the biggest thing you could do is, and I'm going to say this, push membership to the ABATE PA and to the MRF to hear what's going on, to find out what's going on, and to be able to contact your representative. And the biggest thing, especially right now with the elections coming up, we've got to be able to go there and say this is what we want and vote. But I mean, there's even as a member, there's even a call to action. We have it at the federal level right now. It's to block the CAF, where NHTSA wants to have the corporate average fuel economy standards for passenger cars and light trucks for 27 and above, which is going to affect everything. But we've got to stop them on every measure. And the MRF is backing that call to action, because if they're going to start doing it to cars and trucks, they'll start doing it to motorcycles. And, we have to fight for everything we have.
To add to what Andy said about corporate average fuel economy and NHTSA, again, the alphabet agency wants to regulate. They want that standard so high that nothing that runs on gasoline alone will be able to make it. You're going to be like a 40%, 60% hybrid or all electric, and that's going to be your motorcycles too. That's everything. And, I just don't see that yet. I don't see that happening. And of course, we had some legislation go through and got signed by the governor to add a fee to the electric vehicles that are out on the road. Now we've increased the number of electric vehicles and increased fuel mileage in cars. And guess what? We don't have enough gasoline tax revenue in the Commonwealth to fix the roads.
What a surprise.
And surprise, surprise, surprise. Yeah, so here we are. Now, 2025, if you have an all-electric vehicle, you're going to pay $200. 2026, you're going to pay $250. Between Archer Public Affairs, our lobbyist, and some work on our part, we got motorcycles exempted from that. They were just going to slap it on us, $200. Again, electric motorcycles aren't everywhere, but I've been to chapter meeting in Franklin, Fulton County, chapter member shows up on an electric bike. That's his daily commuter. He's not giving up his Harley, but he's got a way to get back and forth to work. Right tool for the right job. And I want to try to make that message out there. I understand about why people don't want them. And I'm not going to say they're not the future, but just please, not please, just don't make me. Don't. Don't make me. I will fight that tooth and nail. We'll fight on that for as long as we can. Anything else we got to talk about?
I just wanted to say that, you know, yes, you have us, ABATE, fighting for you. Yes, you have the MRF fighting for you. You have the AMA fighting for you. But let's go back to grassroots. Individuals have to pester their representatives, their senators, all the legislators. Yeah, you're going to have all this ethanol because guess what? All those senators are from corn-growing states. Of course we're going to have that. It's tough to beat, but still, you know, there was that old Arlo Guthrie song. If one guy goes in and says something, they think he's nuts and they bounce him. But 2 people go in and 3 people go. That's the whole thing. Get a hold of your representatives, your senators, and tell them this is the way it is. We got to have this. I'm out there right now. I'm riding a 35-year-old motorcycle, and there's positively nothing wrong with it. So why would I want to give that bike up? It's got 25,000 miles on it, for God's sake. And it's like, to buy something new for $40,000? Look at me. I'm getting old. I'm going to put that $40,000 down on a ranch house so I'm on one level. You know, let's use our heads about this. So please, I beseech you, talk to everybody and make sure you know when they know that when you talk to them that you are a registered voter. And that's the other thing. Please become a registered voter.
Thanks, Tom. One of the things that I found, especially when we, like for instance, address the interclubs in our area. Andy, your group does it, and they do it at the ABATE level as well. You guys are sending out very succinct, pre-formed letters. So when I talk to these people, I say, you know, you probably spend 20 minutes polishing your freaking bike every time you take it out. I said, why wouldn't you spend 10 seconds reading this letter? And if you agree to it, click on the little icons and it's sending it right to your state and federal representatives. The more you guys do that, the easier it makes us for us to go out and tell people do something. If you love riding your motorcycle like we do, it takes 10 seconds to protect that right. So the more that you guys could send out to us there, because my wife sends it out to all the chapter people. I send it out to all the presidents of the interclub and tell them feel free to send that out to your club members so they can click and let their representatives know this is what's important to us.
Yeah, that's cool. Anytime that you make contact, and what you said about pestering, I would say you'll almost want to get to the level that you make yourself so visible that you're almost making a pest out of yourself. But you want to just be there over and over again and just don't let up. Being seen is very important. I know one of the things that we were going to come here for today, Dave, was to talk about year-round motorcycle inspections. And House Bill 2177, which has already cleared the House. Representative Mullins took care of us on that, along with the dealers are in favor of this, and the independents are in favor of it. And then Senate Bill 1147, which is Camera Bartolotta. She's from the very westernmost part of the state. But you want to talk about why that's important to you?
The inspection, well, of course, having yearly inspection is important to me because when folks roll in and a registration isn't coordinated with the proper month to get a yearly inspection, for us, it causes a lot of time. We have to stop. We have all the laws up on the wall, explain to them why they don't get a yearly inspection, and they usually leave a little dissatisfied. Unfortunately, it does cost them twice the bill that year to get their bike inspection, to get them in sync with the registration. So this will alleviate that. let's say a person forgets to get his bike inspected, or he just bought that bike, or something happens and he comes in, he gets a year. Now, if he comes in the winter time, well, then he's gonna have to figure out how to do that. But for us, you know, if it's snowy or bad weather, we're not gonna encourage you to come in. We're gonna say stay home. You know, so pretty much most people are only gonna come in the warm months for bike inspections anyway. So that's something that I'm excited to have happen to help clear up a lot of problems. And there's a few more things that might be coming down the line that I'd like to discuss about end-of-life directives. In Europe, they've already started this with over a certain time period, your vehicle is no longer allowed to be re-registered for the road. For us, if that happens, I mean, I love motorcycles, I love antique cars, it's been my passion my whole life. If this happens, our love is gonna be changed. We all like to have these vehicles, we like to tinker with them, and it's just something that we need to be aware of, to watch what's happening and help to keep this from happening. So maybe we get a little more explanation on that.
Yes, that's something they're talking about in Europe. They've tried to use excuses about recycling and everything else. The bottom line is they want to be able to control what you own. And what they've even gone to the point of saying that when you turn your bike in, you got to turn in all your spare parts. They want to make sure that they can wipe out everything. And in the United States, they could do it through registration. They could say at a certain time of life or mileage. And they might even put a maximum of each. You don't know. We have to be on guard. Nothing's coming yet. There's no laws about it yet, but it's something, that's the idea. We have to be able to protect ourselves from stuff coming down the road.
Yeah, we already had that.
We already had that, Andy, and it was very successful, very popular. If you remember back around 2008, 2009, cash for clunkers. People loved it. They thought it was great, you know, and they cleaned out a lot of V8 motors, and a lot of stuff went to the junkyard that was fully operable because it was a little government cash incentive. When they talk about stuff like a buyback, they didn't give me that motorcycle to begin with. I bought that with my own hard-earned money. So don't come looking for my bikes. I don't want that, and we're going to stop that any way we possibly can.
Something else we're trying to do at the federal level is definition of a motorcycle. The definition was written 50, 60 years ago. It describes something with 2 to 3 wheels contacting the ground. Polaris has what they call a motorcycle out there, that side-by-side steering wheel, you sit next to each other, it's got a roof, you can put windshield wipers on it. That's not a motorcycle. But that some states, they've at least taken out off of being involved in the numbers in crashes. But when you get the autonomous vehicles and they say they can recognize a motorcycle, what are they using for a motorcycle? Are they using a Vespa going down the road, or are they using one of those Polaris vehicles? That's something else we've got to be concerned about, that they're allowing these automated vehicles on the road, even though they say advanced cars aren't being used, but they are. They just had a person killed in California, or excuse me, in Oregon. The person was on their phone. All of a sudden he heard a thump, looked around and didn't see what was going on, stopped, and he ran over a motorcycle because the car did not recognize the motorcycle as he was going at a high rate of speed and the bike was slowing down to turn. So this is the kind of stuff we have to be aware of. We all have to get together and fight for it. Because right now, I think they said it's like 7% of the general population rides a motorcycle. Of that 7%, only 2% are worried about motorcycle rights issues. So that's a very small minority. If we can increase our footprint, get everybody involved, then the politicians will actually pick up and listen to us. That's what we have to do.
I just wanted
Oh, sure.
to expand on.
Sure, go ahead.
I wanted to expand on something you asked about the
Yes.
inspections.
Yes.
I know what happens when I pull into a place and you tell me you're going to give me a sticker. It's only good for 4 months.
Yep.
See you later.
Yep.
Maybe I'll be back. Maybe I won't.
That's right. And,
It's like-
and honestly, that's the truth. A lot of folks, and there is a lot of truth in that, honestly. And a lot of folks just don't get their bikes inspected. You know, it's a lot of times for us, motorcycle inspection to us means that we're looking at your bike. We're going to make sure it's safe. We're not going to just stick a sticker on here and say, have a nice day. If your brakes are bad, your tires are dry rotted, you have leaks or other problems, we're going to tell you. because we care about you. We care about your safety. And if we just stick a sticker on there with not even look at the bike, then I just took your safety into my hands and didn't look out for you. Such a motorcycle inspection means for me, but I clearly understand the average consumer doesn't have 40 some bucks to just throw away twice a year. They don't have the time to take that hour or so out to have that done. So it's a very good thing that's happened. And we're going to take all these folks' cards and put them up so you guys can see them, that you can email them, call them, whatever you need to do to help really expand on this. And we're really looking forward to trying to protect our industry, our livelihood, our rights, and what we love.
Yeah, real quick about getting members to show up for some of the meetings, getting people out there active and involved. This is what we're all about, especially the Lehigh Valley chapter itself. We struggle sometimes to get the members in. We struggle sometimes to get the people involved. Just the bottom line is, you're passionate about motorcycles, you love your motorcycle, you want to know what's happening behind closed doors, this is the place to be. ABATE, Alliance of Bikers Aimed Towards Education, where we're trying to get the message out there, let people know what we're all about. One last word, Joe?
Thanks, Tom. Dave, thank you so much for hosting this. We really appreciate it. Andy, Ken, Tom, and Tom, thank you so much for giving us your time today. Would anybody else like have any closing?
I'll just say one thing. Make sure this Right to Repair Act becomes law. We got to keep guys like Dave in business, because can't rely on dealerships. That's for darn sure. So get the job done, please.
Thank you, Dave, for everything you're doing.
And what's the question from the audience? So we don't have anything right now that's running, other than the prohibiting the proprietary, giving independents access to the electronic information. And that's Senator Regan's bill. I'm certain that something in that realm should come forward in the 2025-2026 session. The clock is winding down really fast on the 2024 session. We're going to run out of time. They've got thousands of bills that are going to run out of time. We'd like to see a couple get across the finish line we didn't even touch on today. Doesn't matter. That's not what we're here for. We're talking about supporting the independent shops and what we have to do with that. But that Senate Bill 744, it'd be great to see that. I also think, and I know that there are legislators that agree with me, that if you buy it, you should own it. I shouldn't have to pay every month for my heated seat in the car or for my electronic updates on my body control module, my engine control module, my chassis control module as a subscription. I don't want a motorcycle by subscription. I want to buy it and I want to fix it, and when it's a little over my head, I want a qualified independent to get to me. So that's the answer to your question, I hope.
Go ahead.
Also, House Bill 906 on the federal level. Also, SEMA, off the top of my head, I can't remember what SEMA stands for. They're working at it. Even the independent parts places like Napa and I think Advanced Auto Part on a national level is sending information to all the independent car repair shops saying we've got it. There's actually a lot of push forward. You know, I can't believe some of the motorcycle supply houses like Drag Specialty or something, or S&S, hasn't started pushing it too. Because we've got to get everybody involved. We just have to, and everybody has to get involved. That's the only thing I can say is don't just lay on the couch and think, oh well, get involved.
And I do believe there's also something called the RPM Act, which I don't know a whole lot about this stuff, so you can let me know in the comments. That's there to help protect our industry as well.
The RPM Act was wanted to make sure that a engine, like let's say your standard motorcycle engine, can be modified for racing. That they wanted to stop the manufacturers from giving you any of your high performance heads, high performance cams, all that stuff. The EPA and stuff wanted to stop that. And all we want, you should be able to, if you want to make your bike for racing, you should be able to do it. And that's what the don't ask me what off the top of my head, I can't remember what RPM stands for, but it does meet right. But we have to, that's the kind of stuff they're going after us for. And nobody makes a big stink about it, but those are things they're going after. Right now, the RPM Act, there isn't anything out there, but there will be again coming soon. I can see it coming.
Very exciting. This is a great day. I hope I helped to share some things with you folks out there to help open some eyes and keep our industry alive.
Looks like we have another question from the audience.
Yes.
I'm going to have to try to paraphrase that question a little bit so that we can let everybody know what we're responding to. But basically, manufacturers, and a number of them were mentioned. I won't throw them under the bus by name. Well, maybe Harley-Davidson and BMW. But BMW stopped selling motorcycles altogether this past year, just because they had something that wasn't EPA compliant, and there were some sort of secretive talks about that. They started back up again in about a couple weeks' time, but all of a sudden, just out of the agency, again, the Alphabet agency comes to them, and they just stop selling motorcycles because the EPA said, I think it was a vinyl hose or something that had a leak in it or something to that effect. Minor stuff, but the manufacturers are so affected by what these agencies can do to them that they have to comply. They have to comply, and that trend is continuing to grow. It's growing faster, and one of the things is that the independents, well, they're just independent, and they want to get the same level of control over them. It's not billions of dollars in revenue for you, is it, Dave?
It is not. However, for the whole industry and all the people that are employed in this industry, it surely is. The aftermarket industry is a monstrous industry as far as goes for motorcycles, antique cars, all kinds of things. You can just go down the line. It employs thousands of people. It also encourages creativity. It gets young people involved to say, hey, I want to mess with this old piece of junk and figure it out. I'm gonna get my mind to be creative, and that just helps the growth of a human being. Without that, what are we all gonna do as young kids? They're gonna go and just go hide in a corner. We need to keep this alive to help keep the America growing.
Yeah, so I'm going to put a plug in here. Motorcycle Riders Foundation made an alliance last year that they announced when they held their national here in Harrisburg. They announced an alliance with the Independent Motorcycle Aftermarket, and that's an association that independents like Dave have gotten together, and they've kind of come together. They're not as far along as you mentioned SEMA, Andy, Special Equipment Manufacturers Association. That's the guys that let you have whether it's window shades or mud flaps or engine modifications or hot rod setup for your on-road automobiles, and in particular your off-road. And we're talking about the competition industry. People they like to take a hot rod to the drag strip, and you can't drive it on the street, but they trailer it there and race it, and do the same thing with motorcycles. And they're trying to stop that, and we need to fight and push back for that. That's essential to a lifestyle that we are not going to give up on. It's not going to happen.
That's right. Anything else?
So, helmets is the question basically, and how our organization we really put in a lot of effort and became famous because it's an individual choice of gear, what kind of gear you want to use on the road. So we say my helmet, my choice. In Pennsylvania, you have to meet certain qualifications. You have to have rider training. If you're a young rider, you have to have 3 years of experience. 2 years of experience. Yeah. So 2 years under 21, and then if you're under 21, you have to have the basic rider training, and it's a choice that you have. We became famous for that. As far as trying to have anything else done with what's there. We still have a mandatory helmet law in Pennsylvania, and every day when I get out to the driveway, I know I have that choice, and I will not give it up. I had a choice of a couple different helmets to wear today. I picked one off the rack, but it's you know, and they're great. They're great. There's great statistics about accidents. My statistic that we can't calculate is the near misses, and the fact that people ride around, and the training that you can get is really where we need to focus. As far as standards go, the basic DOT standard, that's been the require what NHTSA has always pushed for. Yeah, anything other than DOT is not street legal as a helmet. So, you know, you don't have to wear a helmet, but if you do, it's going to be a DOT. The European standard and the Snell certifications, they all come into play with competition for certain. Mm-hmm. And then definitely, if you as a consumer are making your choice and you want to choose something, you should study up on that. There is a difference with the Snell standard, the European standard, what's better for motorcycles, motorsport. They all have a purpose, right tool for the right job. If you want to bang your head on the ground, pick the best one you can get.
Very exciting. All right, I guess that about wraps it up today. Thank you again, everybody, for coming up.
Dave, thank you for hosting us. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
I hope this helps, and in the future, if you guys get a bunch of different things you think important to talk about, we'll see how this goes, and we can expand on this.
Perfect.
No, I just want to be able to try and help out the motorcycle community with what I can to help keep it growing and be successful for everybody.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you very much.
All right.